project. I'm making a, I don't know whether to call it a banner or a garland for the area between my kitchen and my living room. I always have one up and I just like to change it out once in a while. So today we'll be using some jute. This is kind of thick here. And I think I got this at AC Moore. And we'll be using some ladybug ribbon. It's really cute. My daughter picked it out. And these wood slats came from Walmart. They were very affordable. It comes 6 to a pack. I think I'll only be using 5 actually. So 5 of those, and then some paint to paint these. And then I will be chalking some words onto them, and they say hello, welcome, and gather. So then we'll arrange all these and the ribbon onto here, and then we will have a new garland. So the first thing we're going to do is move this out of the way. And we are going to start with a base coat of white. I'm using DIY White Swan. You'll see that in many of my videos. Pull these out. Maybe we'll pull them out. Okay, so we're going to use 5. 1, 2. Should leave 1 left. This one has words printed on the back, so we're going to use all of the others, but not this one, so we don't have to worry about covering up those words. None of the others have it. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to pop this open here. Actually, remember to put a screwdriver here so I could open it. Usually I forget. So the base coat is going to be white, and really I'm going to hit the edges. I don't need the center to be done. Once it dries, I'm going to take this beeswax and rub it around the edges, and then I'll put on the black paint. Once that dries, I'll be able to easily take back some of that black to reveal the white, and it'll make a nice, neat little effect there. Okay, so I'll get started with the white here. And not worried about coverage in the middle, like I just said. I am going to do both sides because you can see, at least for my purposes, you'll be able to see part of it from the kitchen and part from the living room. So I don't want one part unfinished because that would look silly. I'm trying to do this quick, so that means I'm also painting my fingers quite a bit, which is fine. Alright, so I have painted a coat on the front and back and the sides, and while that's drying, I'm going to measure out the jute that I'll be using for the main cord. The opening that I have is 7 feet, but I will actually be cutting about 10 feet. I don't want it to be straight across. I want it to have a little drape to it. So I'll be allowing room for that, and then I also need some room to tie some loops to hang onto the nails that I use to hang my banner. So I'm going to measure that out. My goodness, they had this package well. Okay, there we go. And this says it's 25 feet. I only need, I think I'm going to do 10 feet. I also want to point out, I forgot to mention, I'll also be using this thinner jute, and what I'll be doing with that is wrapping it around the sides of these little signs with a loop on top. So the loop will be used to string it onto here, and then the rest is just a little decorative touch. I want it to kind of hang down from the jute here. I was going to just put it so that it was, you know, kind of centered like this, but I was afraid it would flop over when I went to hang it. So I'm going to try this method and see how it works. I'm hoping it does what I want it to. But we shall see. Okay, here's my end. So I'm not going to be super precise, so that's 1, 2, I'm going to get tangled here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oh my goodness, 9, and we'll get this, and 10, and a little more to grow on. Why not? So trim that up with my not super sharp scissors. I will wind this up for a later use. actually already have a project in mind for it. This stuff is just so nice to have on hand. I use it for so many projects, either just for a little accent or for hanging things. I just really like it. So this is the cord I'll be using. The first thing I'm going to do is match the ends up and find the middle, because I'm going to go ahead and tie a little loop here because I have a nail in the center of the area where I painted. So I'll hook it there and then on both ends as well. I don't want it to be too big. Pull it tight. There we go. So that's the first loop. And then I'll also do a little loop on each end to hang on the other nails. So that's why I allowed for a lot of extra room. So you can tie the loops without taking too much of your length and allow it to drape down a little bit. Doing all these hand motions today. I don't know where that came from. Okay. There we go. So I have a lot of extra in here. It was just hard to tie the loop with the amount that I have, but I'll try to do it even on the other side. So, all right, so now when we're ready to add everything, we'll have this part ready. And these should be drying up here soon. And then we'll go ahead and do the next step. And with the ribbon, I'm gonna package this. I'm gonna have to play around with the length here to see what's gonna work. So the idea is that, so it's not just a plain rope. I'm going to take loops of this and just tie it so that it's kind of sticking out in little V's. So this length actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna cut just a tad more than that. I'm gonna make it an even amount here. So we're gonna do strips of 10 inches for all of my little ribbon pieces. So, and I will probably cut some little notches in it so it looks a little nicer when it's sticking out there. So I will do that off camera because you don't need to see me cutting lots of ribbon strips. That might be boring. What I'm gonna do now is take my beeswax, and you can get this a lot of places. It's just a chunk of beeswax. You can even use a candlestick. You could use probably soap. We're just gonna run it along each edge and a little bit inside. And this will act as a resist so that we can take back some of the black paint that we're about to put on. We'll have a little bit of a different dimension than if we had just painted it one color. So I'll do that on both sides. You don't have to press too hard. I bet you could even use a white crayon, as long as your base color is white, that is. Or like those little clear crayons you get for Easter decorating, the eggs. That would work as well. All right, so I will finish up that, and then I'm gonna put the coat of black wax on, and we will be back. All right, so I have all of the boards painted both sides in the DIY little black dress. While that's drying, I figured I would go ahead and get started on the ribbon. So I have all of my pieces cut to 10 inches. I've already cut some with some notches for a little bit of a better looking edge. Just in case you don't know how to do it, super easy. So you're gonna fold it, meet the ends, fold it in half a little bit, and then you're just gonna take your scissors, and I recommend nice sharp scissors. I don't have them, and so it's been a little bit of a tedious process. And you're just gonna cut off a triangle from the center, and then you have both sides done. So it would be a bit sharper of a cut if I had better scissors. I think I have about 13 pieces for each side of the garland. So I'll go ahead and finish those in a bit. And then I decided to leave some extra to do a bow for the center nail. The way that I do it is I cut a piece of ribbon. This one happens to be, I wasn't precise, I just used whatever I had left. About 16 inches. And then I cut another just a little bit shorter. I don't know, maybe 6 inches shorter or so. You'll also need one for the center. And I also am using a little bit of extra jute that I have. So meet your ends together like so and center it. So you can already see the start of the bow here. You're going to do the same with your shorter loop. Center that. And I am using wired ribbon. You don't have to, but that's just what this happens to be. Center that again. And then I'm going to take the smaller loop, place it in the center here, and then kind of accordion fold it just a little bit, mostly until you can see that you can get a nice shape with your loops. Then I'm going to take this little extra bit of jute that I have and tie the middle nice and tight. Don't worry about smushing your loops because you can fluff them out when you're done. Nice and tight so it stays together. Okay. You could do 3 loops if you want, as many as you want. I just thought about this when I was almost done cutting all the ribbon. So we're gonna work with what we've got. So there's the start of it. So it'll be hanging on the nail, this direction. Now what I'm gonna do is, maybe it won't do that. I'm gonna see if this piece is long enough. If not, I will just use pieces of jute to hang down. But we will see. So I'm gonna wrap it around. All right, so what I'm gonna do, rather than tie this piece of ribbon because it's so short, I'm gonna take another piece of jute and it'll actually work out just perfect now that I think about it. And I'm going to tie this off just under where I've connected it right here. What this will also allow me to do is make a little hook to put over the nail when I go to hang it. Okay, so not the world's perfectest bow. If I had thought ahead, I would have left enough ribbon to do a nicer one. But it'll work. It's up high, so you can't really see it super duper well. So this little bit of jute here, I'm going to gather right here and tie it off. And then I can loop that around the nail that I'll be hanging it on. So just a small, there we go, that'll be perfect. And I will cut off the rest. So again, that was just an afterthought, but it'll work out just fine. So this little loop I have, I'll put on the nail and it'll be in the center of our garland. And I'm going to actually pull that one aside. I'm going to turn this one a little bit so the butterfly is facing, butterfly, ladybug is in. So there we go, a little bow. We'll set this aside. I'm going to continue on and cut the notches in the rest of these ribbon. And by the time I'm done that, I'm hoping this will be dry enough to do the next step. So stay tuned. On to the next step. I just did a test run to see if the paint was dry enough. So there are my first letters. We're going to get right back to that. The one part I forgot, so I'm going to do that now, is bringing back some of the white that we painted. Just using a sanding block here, and you're just gonna scuff. I'm gonna drop your sanding sponge. Very important step. So I'm just gonna scuff the sides, and I'll show it to you. Doesn't take a lot of effort because we have the wax on there, and it just gives it a nice textured, fun look that I really like. So there's one. You can see the white coming through, and I'm going to do the same just along the edges here. do that to all of them. I like to hit my edges or corners a little bit stronger. And the wax just really helps make this such an easier process. So don't sand too much. You don't want to accidentally bring back the wood. So here's what it will look like. Hope you can see that well enough. So I'm going to continue on with the rest of them. And I'll show you how I do the letters. Now for the letters, I'm using Chalk Couture. You've seen me use that a lot. I love their products. I highly recommend them. And I will leave the link to where you can purchase them for yourself in the description box. Now, if you just really want to get this project done and you don't have Chalk Couture, of course you could use maybe like a paint marker and write on, or if you have a Cricut machine or Silhouette, you could do letters with those. You could even just write on with chalk on these if you use chalk paint. So that's another option. Okay, so that one's done. I'm just gonna take a rag here, get some of the dust off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these. So I'm gonna pause the video just for a bit, get those done, and then we'll be back and I'll show you how to do the letters. All right, everything is sanded and it looks kind of aged and chalkboardy, so we're happy there. I do recommend sanding outside. It was raining, so I didn't. And if you can see, I have black all over my shirt now. Luckily, it was an old shirt. But I also have these kind of white cabinets, and so I had to wipe those down as well. So if at all possible, do your sanding outside, especially if you're using black paint. But live and learn. Okay, so next step is the lettering. So I already did 2 of them that say hello, and I'm gonna also do the back because again, you can see it from both sides in my house. If you're just putting this up against like a wall, then you don't need to do both sides. This transfer I've used, so I'm not gonna fuzz it. I will show you what I mean by fuzzing when I do the other 2 because I haven't used them. Now to set up, I also have a water bath next to me. So we can put our transfer in when it's done being used, so the chalk doesn't dry up on it. These are reusable transfers, which is wonderful. Okay, peel that back. Now with this black paint, you will get some of it onto the backing of your transfer. And there we are. Hello. But it's still, you can still use it after that. It's just a little bit of a staining. You really don't want that to happen to your transfer. You can, if you think ahead, wax your boards and let them dry overnight and then use your transfers, and you won't get any of that paint on them, which will probably make them last longer. But I wanted to get this video done for you, so I didn't do it. Another hello, and I'm just eyeballing it. I'm going to place this in my transfer into the water bath and move on to the other ones. So we're going to do 2 boards with hello. One will have gather, and then we'll have 2 with welcome. So we're going to do the welcome now. I have not used this transfer before, so I'm peeling it off the backer. Make sure you save your backers to put your transfers back onto. I always mark the back with what they are and also to know which side to put them back on. So I have an old dishcloth here. Just, you want to make sure it's a little bit fuzzy. Chalk Couture also does sell a fuzzing mat. I don't have one currently, so I'm just using this. So the sticky side you place down, and Miss Nina loves to fuzz, don't you? You want to pull it?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do it 3 times. 1. Is it the sound that you like?
Mm-mm.
No? You just
Fuzz.
like doing it? You just,
It's soft.
it is. And 3. You want to make sure, especially with a board like this, which we didn't wax, that you fuzz it nice and well so that you don't ruin your transfer trying to pull it up.
Mommy, can you help me fill up this bottle because I want to paint?
I sure can. There we go. Just rub that down a little bit. Let me fill this water up for her. There you are.
I like the rainbow soap.
Thanks. Got some black paint on it now. Okay, so we're gonna pull up a little bit of our chalk. That's actually too much, but we can put it back if we pull up too much. And you just want to smooth it straight across, and then you can wipe that back in. So I like to make sure that the letters come through. That's how you know it's nice and smooth and thin enough. And then just peel it up. It does dry fairly quickly. Okay, move on to our next one. So it's good for when you're making the sign, but as for the transfer, you want to move fast if you're using it multiple times, just to make sure that you can get the chalk off nicely. And you'll just clean them in cool water. It's very easy. Okay, there's that one. Pull it up. And then I'm going to flip this down. I'm just not going to press too hard so I don't mess up that first side that I did. Just eyeballing it. This will be hanging up kind of high, so if I'm not completely centered, hopefully nobody will notice. However, there are always those few family members who will point out, you know, you didn't center that perfectly. Not naming names. Okay, there's that one. This is so quick and easy. So I mentioned that you could use a chalk marker, but I don't think that you would be able to do this as quickly. But if that's what you have, that's what you have. And we'll have to fuzz this one as well because I have not yet used this one. Usually it's easy to get off with the backer, but because I'm on camera, I'm having trouble. Go figure. There we go. And again, save your backers. Now if this were a sign, I would probably seal it. And I usually use a matte clear spray or I use a clear wax. But for this project, I don't think I need to worry about it. Perfect. Okay, that's good. What I did is I cut, I think it was like, 12, about 2 feet of jute, and I'm going to run those around the edges. And we'll leave about 3 inches here on top, and then I'm going to wrap it around once, twice, and 3 times, and I'm going to put a little knot at the top. Just like that. Actually, I'll do 2 so it doesn't fall apart. I'm going to do this on both sides. So again, I'm going to leave about 3 inches or so you have room to tie, and wrap it around once, twice, and 3 times. Now I have a song in my head. I won't say it, just in case you don't spare you. And tie it again, and I'll show you what it looks like. Let's arrange that a little better, make sure my knot's on top. Okay, and here is what it looks like. So what I've done is I've left these tails here. So when I go to, I'm not going to tie one until I hang this up on the wall so I can get the proper placement. But these tails, then I can just tie them up onto the jute wherever looks good when I go to hang it. And so basically I'm going to have one in the middle where I had that first initial loop that we tied in the middle. So I'll have one in the middle and then 2 on each side. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to go ahead and get these wrapped up, and kind of figure out where I'm gonna place them. Then I'll begin tying on my ribbon that we already cut and I showed you. So go ahead and get these done and then I'll show you the rest. Little change of plans. I know I said that I was gonna wait to attach these until it was hanging for placement, but then I realized that the way I did this, I can just kind of shift things along the main cord until it's right. So I started with one, the gather, which is in the middle. So I put that right under that center loop that I had made. And then I attached one of the ribbons, and now I'm gonna do the welcome. So I'm gonna use these little cords that I left above, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do another double knot, leaving it a little bit loose in case I have to readjust, but not so loose that it's gonna slide around on its own. And then I'll take one of my ribbons. So for this one, I just found it easier to fold it in half. So there is going to be a front and back to the ribbon. It doesn't really bother me. If it bothered you, you could double up your ribbon like this before you tie it. And there we go. Folding it in half the wrong way. I'll get it right. And then just fold it under. And you just play with it so you get the right length on each side. That's the tricky part for me, is getting the right fit. And I'll fluff that up once I hang it until I like it. And then we'll move on. What did I say? Well, hello. There we go. And yeah, about the same distance apart. But again, once you hang it up, you can slide things along and adjust it so it hangs properly. I don't remember how many of these ribbons I cut. I think it was about 13 each side. We'll see what fits and what doesn't. Okay, just to give you an idea of what it's gonna look like so far, we have this. And I'm just gonna keep on tying and then we'll hang it up and see